If you could just say your name and your position and who you're representing, please.
My name is RUDI Page, and I am the facilitator for the Community Health Researchers. It's a big program relating to prostate health across Haringey.
Now, recently, King Charles bravely chose not to spotlight his own battle with cancer, but instead highlighted the broader issue of cancer awareness, emphasizing the importance of early detection and treatment. Today, we turn our focus to the Black community and delve into a powerful initiative promoting prostate health awareness and community engagement. The Prostate Health We Care Call to Action Roadshow, taking place in Haringey. Funded by NHS North Central London Integrated Care Board and led by Bridge Renewal Trust and MCW Connectivity, supported by other local Black organisations, this project aims to raise awareness about prostate health in underserved communities. It's a testament to the vital role of community-led initiatives in addressing health disparities and connecting residents to inform future research and services. Join us now to shed light on this project and the importance of targeting the Black community is a project manager and facilitator, RUDI Page from MCW Connectivity. RUDI, how are you doing?
I'm good. All is well. Thank you very much, Trevor. Good to see you again.
Always good to see you. Look, lots to talk about. This is so important. We're talking about prostate cancer, and we're particularly talking about a focus on the Black community. Why?
The reason being is that it's even though there's an awareness, what we're not clear about, and the community isn't, is what the call to action. So what does it mean? So once you're aware, it means it starts to make you question, okay, why are there low access at the point of early detection? Now, why is there late reporting? And so the call to action is actually starting to break that down to understand more about the experiences, but also starting to explain the steps that should be taken by the community as well. Because a lot of people don't realize that the onset of the condition is when, in young men, in fact. But publicly, we just see middle-aged men with the condition. So it's just been seen.
The focus is kind of over 45-year-olds as opposed to awareness earlier on.
Absolutely. And of course, family history, particularly in African and Caribbean communities, generalization. There's not a lot of sharing about family history. So, and if there's cancer, and it's quite interesting because if there's cancer in the mother, there's potential cancer, prostate cancer in the male, as well as there's prostate cancer in the male part of the family. There could be prostate cancer, going down through the generations. So a lot of this information is not shared.
And why is that? Why is it? We know within the Black community that a sense of we don't talk about certain things, okay? Yeah. We find it hard, but yet, and I'm going to talk for my own family here, but yet when we've had a few drinks, we'll talk the socks off anybody, okay? But when it just comes to just sharing those things that, are important, health, emotions even, there's a closed stop, particularly amongst men and women as well. Yeah. Why is that? Why culturally is that there? Yeah,
and you make a good point. I think it's a lot to do with the community as a whole, Trevor, because in our African and Caribbean communities, and I can particularly speak about the Caribbean community, being a member of it, is that we have so many health workers and health professionals in our community, in our families. We have great means of communication, music, culture. And when we're ready, we will fill the halls for entertainment. But culturally, when it comes to our health and our well-being, we have some challenges. And so part of what we've got to think about going forward is the means of communication.
Mhm.
So we all say the means of communication may be different, but the needs are the same. So within our communities, we've got to find a way to get that cohesion, because the knowledge and experience exists.
It's in the community. You said it, I love what
Absolutely.
you just said about we have an abundance of health workers, practitioners at the highest levels
At the highest level.
and
Getting
grassroots.
on.
But yet we're not having those conversations. The awareness isn't there.
Exactly. Exactly. So some of that is about, and maybe it's a generational thing in that we're the first generation now to think about what are we going to do about it? What are the structures? What are the community institutions that we want to hold accountable in their own interests and in the families and communities that they serve to better understand?
Is that also, sorry to cut you off, but is that also why because I was at the launch, you rephrased it in terms of, yes, this is about the fact that 1 in 4 Black men every year are diagnosed and also die because of prostate cancer. You reframed it as prostate health, and you just talked earlier on about the fact that we need to focus in on the younger age range, so they're aware of checks, etc. Is that why you've done it? You've rephrased it as prostate health because it's more palatable to people to understand?
Right, and that's a great observation, because what we're saying is we are promoting prostate health, and that's to do with your diet, your nutrition, your mental well-being, exercise, hydration, sleep. So we're talking about well-being, and the actual cancer is an outcome. Some things we don't have control over, but some things we do. So it's like any long-term condition, diabetes, et cetera. So what we're saying then, we can intervene with a positive message and focus people's minds on, at the end of the day, it's about prevention. We want to stay out of the health system. We want to not be ill.
Yes.
So let's focus on health.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah.
And are you finding that message is resonating, and how are you engaging the community? Because again, I love what you said earlier on. We can pack out a hall, there's music and there's food and we're coming. But when you start talking about health, there's like the tumbleweed goes by, there's no one there,
You clear the room.
The room clear. How are you engaging? Because I said it was funded by, but when you went to alongside Bridge Renewal Trust and said, we can do this, how did you sell it? And actually, is that manifesting, or are you finding it hard to connect with communities?
Actually, it's been quite good. And because what we've been able to do is start to galvanize the radio stations to serve the community. So again, the means of communication is our radio stations. And it is a new way of working, so only time will tell. But what I've found, and also including our local businesses as well,
good.
They've been interested, and we've called them health business clusters. So we've actually given them a name. And then we've created a survey as well. It's called the Prostate Health We Care Quality of Life Survey. Quality of Life Expectations Survey.
And what are you asking within that survey? What are you trying to elicit as well from people? And where does it go next?
Exactly. So in answer to your previous question, so when you read the survey, it's a unique approach because it's one of those surveys that are actually sharing information. So all the questions say, did you know?
And that's how we're getting the historic.
Yeah.
Hopefully we're capturing some of that, whether it's mum, whether it's your brothers or your sisters or dad within the family. Did you know X was there? Did you know in terms of cancer?
Do you know how confident are you about your family history? Right, that's one of the questions. But the did you know actually gives you a fact about prostate health and prostate cancer. And then it's either yes, no, or I don't know. So So it's actually, and then those surveys are being conducted and given out by the community organisations themselves.
Brilliant.
To their own community groups and audiences. So, and we're talking about the French, the Congolese speaking French, the Somalis, our South American communities, Portuguese and Spanish. So we've started to adapt that messaging in those languages. So that's how we've kind of used, again, the means of communication.
But the engagement is, you've talked about the community radio stations to attract them. You're also talking about, as you said, local businesses, but connecting the local businesses just to people. If you talk about, I don't know, a barbershop or even a dentist that's run by a particularly Black practitioners, how are you making that engagement? Because I know there's also a connection with the Black People's Theatre. I know you're doing stuff there as well. Talk to me about how, in an innovative and interesting and even creative way, you're getting the messages out there in order to give that awareness in terms of prostate health.
Right. So you mentioned about BAPS, and that's been great, because what we had there as a theatre group, we had at one of our local churches, so it was integrated into the church service, and the church had promoted this service as a community empowerment service.
Brilliant.
So the creative arts group was able to come and do role play, family role play, women talking with each other, young people talking, with adults, adult males talking with each other. And there's a simple message that kind of spearheads the campaign is know your PSA. So the PSA test, again, it's like a door opener, and it gives you an indication of where you are. It's a first step into the system at least. And we just have to build on that.
Yeah.
This is very early, and the challenge will be the sustainability, which I think is there, because it's an issue that more people seem to be accepting. Actually, we don't need to wait to be funded in order to work out what's in our best health interests of ourselves and our families. And of course, by bringing in the young people now, and also March being International Women's Month, there's some events that have a women's focus, because most of the time when men do go in the end to their GP, it's because of pressure from the female members of their family. And so we're going to have women articulating what it means and what the impact is on them, and daughters and nieces, really when men are really at their peak in terms of the hard work that they've done, only to be, challenged with their health going forward at that point in their life.
Can I ask, before I talk about the research element, so you're doing the survey, etc., you spoke there about the church and doing role play through a creative arts organisation, BAP, and with men and young boys, and then you've just talked about how women are the driver to make that change, and particularly as we look forward to March in terms of International Women's Month. But what are the challenges that you're seeing now? Was there resistance from church leaders, for instance, to engage in this? Has there been resistance in other sectors of the community, or no, Trevor? Actually, so far in Haringey, plain sailing. Everyone's like, yeah, we're on board. We've signed up for this. Let's do this.
Yeah. What I would say is that we haven't achieved scale and impact yet. And it might be some while, because in order to get that, we would need intense, maybe 6 months, again, getting all areas of the community, because just like all communities, the intersectionality of communities, so you can say community organizations, but there's lots of other groups, lots of other stakeholders. And we've touched on it as well. In our workforce, what is the role when you're not at work? What's your role in the community? How much of your knowledge do you share back into the community? in your professional life. You've got all these elements. So there's a way to go in terms of strengthening the communication channels themselves, looking at other ways. But the main thing is to at least have a plan.
Yeah.
So we've put in place a plan. And the good thing is nobody can say it can't be done. Because it has been done, but it needs to be scaled up in order to get that impact where we can then really measure the behavior change.
Okay, because of time, and I want to talk about the measurement. This is connected under an umbrella of the NHS Research Engagement Network, which is for London, it's a London-wide network. For those who don't understand, briefly explain what it is and why this is connected to this. What's one of the main outcomes that we want to see from some community members, I would hope, in terms of helping to, one, look at, define, and future-proof, not just this initiative, but health services, particularly for the Black community?
Yeah. Well, it's well accepted that the certain population groups, and African and Caribbean population groups in particular, have not been well served when it comes to research, to actually understand the experience and understand, what the journey has been, and also to look at more innovative ways, or existing activities that could translate into better services. So and again, it's early days for the research network itself, even to have people who have the cultural awareness and understanding. Because, of course, communities are always very wary, and researchers have to build up trust. They have to have a co-learning approach, which, again, co-learning is very new to our institutions, particularly our health institutions, particularly to our universities, particularly to our academics, because there are very few academics from the African and Caribbean communities to contribute to getting the information that's really needed.
I'm going to pause you because I'm going to say you should be a politician. I've seen you in action. So let's be clear what you're saying here. There has been, and I know you have been like Fred Flintstone, banging people across the head to say at the table must be the voice of lived experience. In terms of your research, and any documentation that is released has to be understandable and has to ask the right questions in order to get the outcomes we need to move forward. And there has been, I'll use the word because you're not, there has been a slight resistance, but you've actually managed to move people to your way of thinking. Okay, so let me be clear that I've sat at the table and seen you in action here. So you're very diplomatic. And I also want to add that it is important to have that co-production, as you called it, and those co-voices at the table in order for it to be cemented within the community and for the community to realize that actually we have ownership of this. And here's the key word, and that we can trust this as well, because trust is a big issue as well. We are running out of time, but I really want you to address this and forget the dip. Just tell us straight. I've got people out there listening who might be interested, but also people out there who go, oh my God, Rudi, I was one of those people. Where have you been? I need you in bloody well Greenwich.
I'm here, call me. But yeah, so with all systems, we're all part of the system that we're seeking to change. And when you're navigating change, and there's a term we use, we talk about, and we think about the service lines. So we talk about the lines of communication and accountability. And it is a subtle art if you're going to influence and get behavior change, because you've got to demonstrate you understand.
Absolutely.
You understand the decision-making process. You understand the inputs from the other stakeholders. You understand what mutual expectations are within the system. And you know what ideas to put in there that will work and won't be thrown out.
You got to move people with you.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, you have to be part of the team. You have to be, if you're going to get that change for the community.
Can I quickly ask, how long in terms of this research, you already alluded, and I love what you did. You said this is really 6 months, Trevor, and beyond. For you, if we were doing a litmus test on all this, what is that time scale where you think actually that's when we'll start to really see not just the engagement, but what the next thing is, what the system changes really need to? I have an idea in the back of my head, but it's not about me, it's about the community. You know, what for you is a realistic time scale? And for you, what is it you would like to see as the main outcome? Not what is told to you, what's written in a contract, in terms of what we want based on funding. What for you, when we talk about not just prostate health, but health within the Black community, when we look at health disparities and we want to start to really address them. And I know you talked earlier on about the community has to move, the community has to own this as well. What for you is that outcome?
And the outcome for me is the collective responsibility.
Amen.
And the collaboration within the community to improve the well-being for itself, because the skills are there, and to accept it can be done. So confidence is really important, because maybe in 6 months' time, we can look at it and see what behavior change there has been. But what I would like to see, and will ensure will happen as an outcome, that there has been better collaboration within the community itself. The radio stations will carry on delivering health information, even though it's not part of the campaign. Again, it's embedded in the culture. So we're now talking about cultural change and influencing the culture, the behavior, that culture being the unseen strand that binds people together. That it makes sense to take care of ourselves and our community and ensure that we're informed.
Amen. Amen. Well, I'm going to make sure we continue here at Maritide. Look, we've got closing remarks. We've only got a minute left. How do people connect and find out more information about what you guys are doing?
Right. So what's going to happen, this week, hopefully, we will have on the Bridge Renewal Trust website, there will be a specific sub-page. So you'll be able to go Bridge Renewal Trust.co.uk/prostate health roadshow. But again, just Google search for Bridge Renewal Trust, and the information's on there.
RUDI, thank you for coming on the show today. We're going to post all that information across our socials.
Right.